Day one of the Kelly Thomas trial. This is the Santa Ana courthouse in which officers who beat him are being tried for second-degree murder and involuntary manslaughter. The case has gathered the attention of the entire Southern California area and have even gone nationally. The key here is very simple. Can the prosecution convict a police officer of second-degree murder? It is very, very difficult. And can the defense try to prove that Kelly Thomas was really the bad guy, that his history of drug use, his mental illness led the officers to use excessive force? And the only reason why Kelly Thomas is dead is not because of the beating that he inflicted, was because of his previous medical condition and his previous use of drugs. It's going to be quite interesting. This case is going to take probably 5 to 6 weeks. We'll be here every day. For the prosecution to win this case, they have to stay laser focused. They got the great evidence. They have the audio tape of Kelly Thomas screaming for their life. They need to put that in front of the jury immediately. They also have a videotape showing that these officers were beating Kelly Thomas to death. They need to put this evidence before the jury immediately. And then they need to come forward with the autopsy report to show that the cause of death was a result of the officers beating Kelly Thomas. That's the way the prosecution can win this case. If the defense is going to win, they're going to have to ignore the case. They're going to have to make Kelly Thomas the bad guy. Talk about his drug use. Talk about his prior conviction. Talk about how Officer Ramos met him before and never laid a hand on him. The defense has to force the prosecution to talk about everything but the night of the incident when Kelly Thomas lost their life. All the defense wants is to convince 1 or 2 or 3 of those jurors not to vote for a guilty verdict against them. That's all they're looking for. The prosecution has the burden of proof. The defense, all they want to do is get 1 or 2 jurors to buy into the argument that the police officers had no choice but to use force against Kelly Thomas. In my opinion, a guilty verdict against these officers will be a victory for the homeless and the mentally disturbed. You see, Kelly Thomas was homeless. Kelly Thomas was mentally ill. And it seems like officers sometimes take advantage of the homeless and the mentally ill. And this case in which a homeless and a mentally ill person, Kelly Thomas, is basically dead as a result of this beating, we need to have a guilty verdict against these officers so that homeless people and those who are mentally ill can feel vindicated. And these officers will think twice if they're going to harm or inflict pain against the mentally ill and the homeless. There's a large homeless crowd at this courthouse, obviously in support of Kelly Thomas. This is just one person's opinion on trying to make sure that excessive use of force is not being inflicted upon the weak and the innocent. Terrell for www.clearthecourt.com.